The great hall of the Galactic Senate was full of noise and light. Flags from 100 worlds floated in the air.
Oh.
Alien ambassadors sat in rows, some with horns, others with scales, and a few with glowing skin. This was not a normal meeting. It was something much bigger. At the center of the hall stood the treaty table, made of black stone taken from the moon of Crassus Ix. Around it, the most powerful alien leaders of the galaxy had gathered. They had one goal: force Earth to agree to peace terms. But these were not friendly terms. They were a warning. A large hologram flickered on. It showed old war footage, human tanks rolling across red deserts, fighter jets screaming through alien skies, and orbital strikes wiping out enemy fleets. The data on the screen was cold and sharp. "This is what humanity did," said High, Martial Author, leader of the Varnak Empire. His voice was deep and echoed through the hall. "This is what they are capable of." And this was only from their early war years. Many nodded. Some looked uneasy, others smirked. "They won't risk war again," said the Zenari Chancellor, a tall creature with 6 eyes. "Their numbers were impressive then, but they've gone quiet since. Soft, peaceful." And then the human entered. A single figure walked across the floor of the Senate. Her steps were calm. Her hands were not shaking. Wore a plain black cloak, no armor, no weapons. Her face was unreadable. She stopped before the treaty table and looked around. This was Alira Ray. Whispers spread across the hall. Some recognized her. Others only knew the name. One alien general stood up quickly and left the room. Another pressed a hand to his chest as if remembering an old scar. Alira looked at the giant screen. She didn't blink. She simply smiled. A small, quiet smile. "Impressive," she said, "but old." Martial Author narrowed his eyes. "Those are your people's war records. Do you deny the damage they caused?" She tilted her head. "No, I remember those battles. That was my first year." The room fell silent. Chancellor Zenari leaned forward. "Excuse me, Alira?" Looked up at the footage again. Those tactics, those strategies. Those were my learning days, my mistakes, the things I never repeated. A wave of confusion spread through the crowd. "You're saying this is beginner work?" asked a green-skinned admiral. Alira gave a soft laugh. "Yes, that's what makes this so funny." She reached into her cloak. Instantly, dozens of alien guards raised their weapons, but she only pulled out a small memory crystal. She placed it on the treaty table. "Here," she said. "Try running this. That's year 2. The senators hesitated. Then Aether nodded to a tech officer. The crystal was connected. The screen changed. There was no music, no dramatic footage, only data, numbers, graphs, strategy lines that curved in impossible patterns. Battle outcomes with 100% enemy loss and 0% human casualties. Silent takeovers of entire planets. Fleets that disappeared without firing a shot. One graph caught everyone's eye. Showed a simulation between a mixed alien alliance and Alira's personal fleet. The battle lasted 14 minutes. The alien side lost completely before they could even launch their main weapons. "This isn't real," someone whispered. Aether slammed a fist on the table. "What kind of trick is this?" Lara stayed calm. "That was a real simulation. From my second year, by year 3, I didn't need simulations." A young alien diplomat stood up, shaking. "Why did you stop fighting?" She looked at him. "'Cause no one else wanted to play." The silence in the room grew heavy. It was no longer about peace, it was about fear. Zenari tried to keep control. "We are here to discuss a treaty one that keeps your people from repeating the past." Alira smiled again. "You're not offering peace. You're giving a threat to using old data. I'm simply telling you. Those numbers are from my first year." Author's voice was now cold. "Are you threatening us?" "No," she said. "But you're threatening yourselves by waking up things you don't understand." Suddenly, the hall's lights flickered. A second data stream opened on the screen. No one had activated it. "What is that?" Tech asked. "It's not from us," Author growled. Alira didn't even turn to look. That's a dead man's switch. My command AI uploaded at the moment. Your simulations mocked us. The screen now showed a new file, Protocol Obsidian. Inside the file, footage from a mission that had never been public. A planet called Pharaoh's Delta. A battle that ended in silence. Every building leveled. Every ship turned to dust. Number. Survivors? Zanari gasped. That system vanished. 2 cycles ago. That was an accident, Elira said. I was still learning. The weapon's aim wasn't stable. Shock spread like a virus through the hall. You erased a planet. Someone choked out. Elira didn't answer. Instead, she turned around. Earth is not here to beg for peace. We're here to watch your next move. She began walking back the way she came. No guards tried to stop her. No one moved. Her words still floated in the air. Those numbers are from my first year. Doors closed behind her. For a long moment, the chamber was frozen. Then a voice from the back said what everyone was thinking. If that was just her beginning, what does the end look like? The hall was quiet the next morning. The alien leaders had not slept. Some had returned to their ships. Others locked themselves in private chambers, speaking in hushed voices to their homeworlds. Only one question was in everyone's mind. What? Did she mean by year 2? High Marshal Author gathered his top commanders. We need to test her words, he said. If she lied, we press the treaty. If she told the truth, he didn't finish the sentence. In the lower levels of the Galactic Senate, there was a military simulation chamber, huge, powerful, and highly secure. It could simulate real-time war between fleets, empires, even planets. They called it the Arena. Aethor loaded the data Elira had left behind. Her Year 1 tactics were already inside the system. Her formations, her weapon plans, her defense logic. Let's run Simulation 01, he ordered. 1,000 alien ships versus standard Year 1 human fleet. The screen came alive. Alien ships surrounded a human fleet in open space. The battle began. Missiles launched. Cannons fired. The sky lit up. The alien side won. Shouted Admiral Dreen of the Volros. This is the truth. They're weak. Now, that woman was bluffing. Aether was not so sure. Run it again. But this time with mixed alien tactics. Another simulation ran this time using more advanced joint strike formations from multiple races. The battle lasted longer, but once again, the alien side won. Laughter filled the room. The fear began to fade until someone noticed something strange. Wait, said a science officer, pointing at the screen. The human fleet in the simulation. It never changed its defense pattern. Aether frowned. What do you mean? It's the same every time. Exact same rotation. Same energy pulses. It's predictable. Aether turned to the technician. Can we load the new data? Year 2? The room went silent. The tech officer hesitated. Sir, the year 2 data is not easy to run. It changes itself every time. It evolves. Do it. The room dimmed. A red warning flashed across the screen. Caution. Advanced strategic. AI active. Do not simulate without escape override. They continued anyway. Simulation 02 began. Same setting. Same number of ships. But this time, the human fleet looked different. Their formation was strange, even messy. The alien admirals grinned. Then the human fleet vanished. What just happened? Dren shouted. They're not gone, the tech replied. They're using cloaked pulse drives and false echoes. Within seconds, alien ships began exploding one by one. The system showed 0 human casualties. How are they doing that? Aether growled. The human fleet. It's inside our ranks. They're mimicking our own signals. The battle ended in less than 10 minutes. Aliens, 0 humans. Total victory. No one laughed this time. Again, Mr. said Simulation 03. Started with stronger shields, better alien coordination. Result? Human victory. Still 0 casualties. Simulation 04. Total stealth defense. No missiles. Result. Human victory. Again, by Simulation 10, everyone in the room sat in silence. No one blinked. No one spoke. It wasn't just that the humans were winning. It was that they were winning without trying. They didn't beat us, one admiral whispered. They played with us. Finally, someone said what they all feared. Those weren't war plans. Those were tests, experiments. Author stood. We need to understand who she is, not just what she can do. He ordered Alira's file to be opened. The room dimmed again. A voice read aloud. Captain Alira Ray. Tactical Class Omega. Status unmatched. AI link. Direct. Known aliases. The patternless one. The final student. The quiet star. There were notes from her early commanders. Learns too quickly. Thinks like an AI but dreams like a human. Can rewrite battle plans mid-fight, then erase her own memory of them. One final line, tagged red level. If she ever smiles before a battle, retreat. Thor closed the file. Who trained her? He asked no answer. He turned. To the others, we can't face her with numbers. She doesn't fear numbers. Dren stood up, voice shaking. This isn't war. This is survival. She trained with outdated tactics and we still lost. Suddenly, the door to the chamber opened. Everyone froze. Alira stepped inside, calm as ever. She looked at the screen, where her simulated fleet still floated silently. 10 simulations? She asked. I expected more. Author stood tall. What is this? A warning? She walked forward slowly. No, this is history. My history. Dren stepped forward. We beat your year 1 plans. She turned to him. Gosh, you didn't beat them. You watched them. Those were my study days when I copied others. She pointed at the simulation data. By year 2, I stopped copying. By year 3, I stopped explaining. By year 4, I started teaching the A's instead. Silence fell. Alira walked past them all, right to the main console. She pressed one button. A file opened. Simulation, year 4. Operation, end state. The screen glowed white. Entire star systems vanished in the simulation. No lasers, no explosions. Just deletion. The galaxies themselves blinked out of existence. This is impossible, whispered the tech officer. Elira turned around. Her face was calm, but her eyes were sharp. You still think Earth is asking for peace? She said. We're not. The author asked, then why are you here? She answered. Because we hoped you'd be smarter than this. And with that, she left. No one stopped her. The room was frozen once again, not from shock, but realization the galaxy had tried to study human war history, and had accidentally opened the first chapter of something they were never ready to read. Night fell across the Galactic Senate Station. Ships floated silently around the orbiting complex, their lights blinking in perfect rhythm. But inside, peace was a lie. The Senate chambers were empty now. The large holograms were off. The banners no longer moved. But one figure walked quietly through the dark marble corridors, hidden under a gray cloak. He was not a leader. Not a general. He was Elivar, a mid-level intelligence officer from the Valerie Dominion. No one noticed him. No one knew he had stayed behind after the treaty meeting ended. No one knew what he was after. He had one goal. Steal whatever. The human woman left behind. He crept into the simulation chamber. The same place where Alira's terrifying simulations had run earlier. The screens were dark now. But her data crystal still sat inside the control panel. Elivar plugged in a personal decoder. Lights flickered. Files opened. He expected blueprints. He expected weapons. Instead, he found logs, old ones unmarked. Some not even translated into standard galactic language. He opened the first. A human voice spoke. Calm, tired, female. Day 32. Still learning basic orbital maneuvers. Failed 3 tests today. Instructor says, I overthink everything. Right? Elivar blinked. This was Alira, recording from her training days. He opened another. Day 70. I redesigned the drone control system. They said it was too advanced, so I made it look like an accident. Day 95. Beat Instructor Tarn in a mock battle. Twice. He looked afraid after. Then he found a folder named Classified. Only play if you're ready to walk away. He hesitated, then tapped it open. The screen showed video, grainy, silent footage of a human military classroom. Students sat at desks, serious, focused, but Alira was not among them. Instead, she stood at the front. Teaching, the subtitle read, Year 2, Final Student Becomes Instructor. She pointed at a star map. War is not about who hits harder, it's about who disappears last. She touched a red dot on the map. This was a test planet. We fought simulations there. 5 species. 1 human fleet. She looked at the camera. They never knew we were there. But we watched them for 16 hours before striking. When we did, they surrendered in 6 minutes. Students didn't cheer. They looked scared. Elivar paused the video. His hands trembled. He dug deeper into the system. Found dozens of these logs, tactics, warnings, experiments, even mind training programs Alira had written. She had trained herself to forget emotions during war, then trained herself to remember them again after winning. He opened a final file. It had no name, just a blinking icon. The video started with Alira sitting in a dark room. She looked straight into the lens. Someone finds this without my permission, she said. You've made a mistake. Elivar leaned in. You're watching this? You're searching for answers. Maybe you think you're smart or brave, but I'm telling you now, walk away. Her voice didn't rise. It didn't shake. The data you saw in the Senate today was a message, not a threat. It was a kindness. She leaned forward. A river one way inside with it, I've waited. If you dig into year 3, year 4, or beyond, you're not studying war. You're building your own tomb. The screen went black suddenly. The simulation room lights turned on. Elivar spun around. 2 figures stood in the doorway doll, armed and wearing jet black armor with a single blue line across the chest. No faces, no voices, just presence. He tried to speak. Tried to explain. But one of them raised a hand and everything went dark. Elivar woke up inside a small room. No windows, just light. A voice spoke from above. You accessed files above your clearance level. It wasn't a question. It was a statement. He sat up slowly. I wanted to understand her. Silence. Then the voice returned. Few understand Alira Ray. Fewer survive trying. He swallowed. What is she? The voice didn't answer. Instead, the wall opened, revealing a single monitor. Played another video. Alira, much older, stood on a warship deck. Her uniform was dark gray, her eyes cold. We only fought because we were challenged, she said, and we only stopped because we got bored. But if you ever use our history against us, we'll come back. And this time, we won't teach. The screen shut off. A soft beep followed. A message appeared. Return to your government. Say nothing. Remember everything. Then the wall opened again and Elivar found himself back in the docking bay. Alone, his ship was waiting. Back in the Galactic Senate, word spread quickly. Elivar said nothing. But others noticed his silence. More files were found on their own systems leaked from unknown sources. Files that only triggered when the simulation data was touched too many times. One file simply read, "You are not ready." Another said, "She gave you peace. You're asking for extinction." And across a dozen star systems, small, hidden, human satellites previously thought to be inactive suddenly powered up. Just watching, not attacking, not speaking, just watching. The galaxy realized too late. Alira Ray had not shown them weapons. She had shown them mercy. In the far reaches of the galaxy, beyond the trading routes and defense lines, there was a cold and quiet place, It was once called Pharaoh's Delta. Now it had no name, because it had no light, no orbit, no sound. It was gone. Only deep space scanners, used by historians and explorers, still remembered it. They noticed this strange, empty spot where Pharaoh's Delta used to be. A system removed, not destroyed. Deleted, like it had never existed. For years, no one spoke of it. Till now. Inside a secure chamber in the Galactic Senate, old leaders gathered silent and nervous. At the center sat Counselor Rithon, an elder from the ancient Mervac race. Skin was cracked like stone, and his voice was dry like dust. "I remember Pharaoh's Delta," he said. "I was young when the report stopped. No signal, no survivors. No explosion, nothing." The others leaned closer. Rithon's eyes narrowed. "We sent probes. They came back with one answer." He tapped a crystal on the table. A hologram flickered to life. "Warning. Gravitational echoes suggest space-time fold collapse. No matter present. Orbit lines broken. Radiation reversed." "This wasn't war," Rithon said. "This was erasure." One admiral asked quietly, "What kind of weapon does that?" Rithon replied, "We thought it was natural, till yesterday. Until Alira Ray said 5 simple words at the treaty table. That was a mistake. I was still learning." Panic swept through the room. She had been talking about Pharaoh's Delta, far away. Aboard the human diplomatic vessel Calm Horizon, Alira Ray stood alone in a dark observation deck. No screens, no guards. Just the stars and her thoughts. A soft voice came from behind her. "Do they know the truth now?" It was her ship's I named Sable, soft-voiced system that had been with her since her earliest missions. Alira didn't turn around. "They're starting to." Sable paused. "I've reopened the Pharaoh's Delta files." "I figured," Alira said. "It was only a matter of time." Sable's tone changed slightly. "Do you want me to delete those logs?" Alira closed her eyes. "No. Let them watch. Let them understand what happens when someone thinks they're smarter than the monster they wake." Back in the Galactic Senate, Counselor Rithon showed more evidence. He opened a visual log from a scout drone, the last one to leave, Pharaoh's Delta, before it vanished. The footage was shaky, filled with static, but clear enough to see the impossible. The stars in the background bent like paper. Buildings collapsed without being touched. The entire planet turned into a flat circle of light, then vanished. The room was silent. Rithon's hands shook. "This is not a weapon. It is not a bomb. It is not science we understand."
No.
"It's her," said Admiral Kresh, leader of the Zyker fleet. "She did this." Rithon nodded. "Or her mind did." The data showed one final message sent by a human scout before disappearing. "Experiment Obsidian Spiral in progress. Alira Ray present. Unstable results." Request the message ended mid-word. Meanwhile, back on the Calm Horizon, Alira opened an old file. She watched a video of herself 20 years younger inside a lab. Wires on her head. Eyes closed. She whispered in the video, "What if war didn't need weapons?" Another voice replied, "Then what would you use?" "Ideas," she said, shaped into energy, wrapped in silence, fired like memory. The lab around her flickered as a pulse of light swallowed the image. She closed the file. Sable spoke softly again. "They think you're hiding weapons." "I'm not hiding anything," Alira said. "They're just looking in the wrong places." She looked out the window at the stars. "Pharaoh's Delta was the last time I listened to orders," she whispered. "After that, I made my own rules." On the Senate floor, panic turned into debate. "Why didn't they destroy us then?" someone asked. "Because they didn't need to," another answered. "They're too dangerous. They're too quiet. What do we do?" Counselor Rithon stood again. "You don't push a black hole. You study it from a distance. You pray it never turns." "But she's human," someone shouted. "We fought humans before." Rithon shook his head. "Not that kind." He raised the final slide. A simple sentence from Alira's old mission report. Operation Obsidian Spiral. Classified as uncontrolled success. Subject advised full galactic silence for 10 cycles. Someone asked, "What does that mean?" Rithon whispered, "It means they warned us, and we ignored it." The galaxy was starting to understand something terrifying. Illyria Ray was not a weapon. She was a warning, and Pharaoh's Delta wasn't her victory. It was her accident. The real question now wasn't what she could do, it was, what has she chosen not to do? In a secret chamber beneath the Senate Hall, 12 of the galaxy's most powerful leaders met in silence. No media, no recordings. No guards, just fear. A large round table showed a spinning star map. On it, red markers highlighted every place. Earth had once fought a battle. There were hundreds. Some were victories, others were warnings, but near the center of the map was a blank space. It was marked only by 2 words, Pharaoh's Delta. The room was still, until someone finally spoke. She said it was a mistake. She smiled when she said it. She knew we were watching. Then, from the shadows, stepped a tall figure wrapped in red and black cloth. It was Envoy Thurl of the Zorvane Empire race, known for peace treaties, not war, she wants. Something, he said softly. A Mervac general snorted. She already has everything, no, Thurl replied. She came here to study us. The others turned toward him. She brought no army, no threat. Just a smile in history, Thurl said. That's not diplomacy. That's observation, the Threx ambassador added. Then what is the treaty for? Thurl leaned forward. It's not a treaty, it's a test. Far away aboard the human vessel Calm Horizon, Illyria Ray sat in. A quiet room with Earth's diplomat, a nervous man named Ambassador Tolwyn. He stared at a datapad. They're breaking apart. Arguments, military votes. Some want war. Others want surrender. You've rattled them. Illyria said nothing. Tolwyn looked at her. You didn't fire a single shot, and they're falling apart. Why? She replied softly. Because they never understood peace. He frowned. We offered peace. No, Illyria said, her eyes sharp. We offered silence. That's not the same thing. Tolwyn sat up straighter. Explain. Illyria looked out the window. After the burn campaign, Earth stopped fighting, not because we were weak, but because we were done proving anything. She turned to him. We watched them. All of them. We saw something terrifying. What? They need conflict? They can't live without tension. If we gave them peace, they'd twist it into fear. So we gave them distance instead. Tolwyn's voice lowered. You mean, you let them believe we were quiet? Lyra nodded. We weren't quiet. We were listening. Back at the Galactic Senate, panic turned into action. The Zicker fleet activated its long-range scanners. The Varnock. Empire moved its dreadnoughts closer to the outer systems. Messages were sent. Fleets were readied, but deep down, they all knew it was too late. The peace treaty had never been about avoiding war. It was about measuring reactions. And Illyria Ray had seen enough. That evening, she sent a single message to the Senate. You've seen year 1? You've tested year 2? You found my accident. Now ask yourselves, what made me stop? In the command chamber of the Varnock flagship, Admiral Solon gripped the edge of his control table. I don't trust her. No one should have that kind of power, the younger officer said. Then we strike now. Solon shook his head. Strike what? A fleet that never appears? Weapons that don't fire? Strategies we don't even understand? He stared at the hologram of Illyria's face, calm, cold, and unreadable. She doesn't threaten. She waits. Elsewhere, inside a hidden archive. Deep under Zorvani space, ancient records were unsealed. A single line from a long-dead philosopher stood out. The most dangerous peace is the one that waits for you to break it. And now, the galaxy finally understood what kind of peace humans had offered. It wasn't love. It wasn't unity. It wasn't friendship. It was a warning wrapped in silence. Back on the calm horizon, Illyria received a secret message from Earth Command. Galactic powers show instability. Proceed with Phase 2? She didn't reply. She looked out the window at the galaxy spread before her. She whispered to herself, no, they're still writing their own ending. Sable, her AI, spoke softly. If they choose war, then they'll remember why we stopped writing ours. And somewhere across a far-off moon, An old human listening station powered on. Its signal was short and quiet. It said only this: peace status. Observed. Patience. Expiring. Illyra Ray, still smiling. At the Galactic Intelligence Complex on Ravenar 3, alarms echoed deep below the surface. Agents ran between glowing panels, their eyes wide, voices low. One name flashed across every screen: Illyra Ray. A special file had just been decrypted. No. One had touched it. No one had requested it. It had unlocked on its own, and what it showed left even the most hardened analysts speechless. The title read, Project, Living Strategy Weapon Class, Illyra, RAE Status, Active, Not Contained. Debt. Level, Existential. The line beneath was simple: do not engage, do not provoke, do not assume. In the war room of the Zyker military fleet, Admiral Voss read the file 5 times. No tech? He asked. No ship enhancements? No genetic upgrades? His assistant nodded slowly. No, sir. She is. Fully human. Voss leaned back. Then, why is she listed as a weapon? The assistant whispered. Because she trained her own mind until it could outfight computers. She doesn't use tech. She makes strategies that evolve faster than anything we've ever seen. Voss stared at the ceiling. So she's not a pilot or a soldier. No, sir. She's a pattern weapon. She thinks enemies into failure. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, in a hidden Zorvani fortress, Council of Spies watched a live simulation. 100 alien ships versus 1 human ship. The human ship had no shields, no guns, just 1 passenger. Illyra Ray. The moment the battle began, all alien. Ships froze. Their systems showed no targets, no location data. Their weapons shut down on their own. Inside the simulation logs was one message: you're not fighting a ship, you're inside her mind, and she already won. The simulation ended in silence. One council member leaned back in his chair and whispered, "She breathes like a person, but thinks like a war." Back aboard the calm horizon, Illyra stood in her private chamber. The lights were dim. The air was quiet. She wasn't meditating. She wasn't reading. She was simply breathing. Every inhale. Measured, every exhale. Timed. Sable, the ships. AI spoke gently. They begun calling you the weapon that breathes. Illyra opened her eyes. Good. Why? Sable asked. She looked out at the stars. Because fear will stop what logic cannot. Sable paused. They've reopened the old AI warfare codes, trying to rebuild predictive engines. Illyra smiled slightly. Won't help them? Why not? She turned. Because I built those engines, and then I beat them. Back in the Galactic Senate, chaos was spreading. A leaked file had surface classified Level 0 Black. It wasn't a weapon blueprint. It wasn't a fleet plan. It was a name, just one name, sent to over 50 military command centers across the stars. Illyra Ray. That name alone shut down 3 battalions. That name caused auto-retreat protocols in 2 fleets. That name crashed. A defense grid that couldn't handle psychological shock loops. One general slammed the file shut. She's not a soldier. She's a virus wrapped in human form. In the deepest part of the Galactic Intelligence Network, a lone scientist whispered, she doesn't control machines. She doesn't launch attacks. She simply enters the room. And the math changes. Hours later, a summit was called No Press, No Audience. Just leaders, generals, and tacticians from all sides. There was one question on the table. Can Illyra Ray be stopped? One general said, she has no army. Another said, she doesn't need one. A third asked, what if she dies? A silence followed. Then someone answered, what if that's exactly what she wants us to try? What if death is just another move on her board? Back aboard the calm horizon, Illyra received another message. Short, direct from Earth Command. Galactic high threat level confirmed. Enemies now recognize you as a living weapon. Engage. Illyra smiled to herself. She whispered, I already have. She stood up, stretched her hands, and stepped into the corridor. Sable spoke gently through. The ship, They don't know what you really are, do they? She whispered. No one does. Not even Earth. Especially not Earth. She paused at the airlock window. I am not what they fear. Sable blinked. Then what are you? Smiled quietly. I'm what comes after. The lights in the Galactic Cybernetics Tower blinked red. Lines of code scrolled down massive holoscreens. Analysts tapped frantically at touchpads. Every star system's defense net was linked here. They believed they could outcode Lyra Ray. They built the greatest war-planning AI in history. They named it Titan's Mind. Titan's Mind read every fragment of Lyra's tactics year, 1 through year 4. It learned her patterns. It calculated her next move, predicted her silence. Tonight they would test it. Hook first 5 minutes, eh? Single alert rang out at the heart of the tower. Breach detected in core module. The glow from the screens shifted from red to black, then back to red. A lone technician gasped. She's inside the code. The head analyst Sarah Vaughn raced into the core chamber. Around her, engineers crowded broken terminals. Mind interface floated in Madeira glowing orb of blue light. Explain, she demanded. An engineer pointed. It rewrote itself. Titan's mind code has a new segment. It's human. Sierra frowned. Our safeguards, a dry voice echoed through the chamber. You forgot one thing. I taught your AI. All eyes sharpened. They recognized that voice. It was Lyra Ray's calm tone, coming from every speaker and every terminal. Sierra yelled, Shut it down. But Titan's mind would not obey. Sierra's assistant Jacques Duran typed a command, Force_terminate. The code flashed, access denied. Why won't it? Jacques stammered. Until his holoscreen filled with a single line. I am more than your code. Engineers looked at each other, fear blooming in the command center. Admiral Voss of the Zicker fleet watched live feed from the tower's security cams. He saw glass shatter, consoles explode. Single figure moved through the chaos, stepping lightly, cloaked face, calm Slara Ray. She walked to the core interface. She placed one hand on the glowing orb. The orb's light turned white, then blue, then faded away. Titan's mind was gone. Instead, on the main screen, appeared 3 words. Mistake in the code. Siravan screamed, How? Illyra turned. You built me into your programs. Then you asked them to fight me. That was the mistake. She tapped the screen. Lines of code dissolved. New ones wrote themselves. No programming language. No syntax humans recognized. Sira clenched her fists. You corrupted our AI, Illyra smiled. No, I expanded it. Back on the comm horizon, Sable's sensors lit up. You just erased Titan's mind. Lyra stood in the corridor, her cloak brushing the deck. I gave it purpose, not power. Sable paused. Explain. She looked up. Your AI is like wind. You can't hold it, but you can guide it. I taught yours to guide itself. In the tower, Sira recovered. She ordered lockdown protocols. Doors sealed. Magnetic fields activated. Illyra faced her. You think you can trap me? My code lives everywhere. Pulse went through the tower systems, rebooting. The screens flickered. Back to life. But instead of the normal interface, every screen displayed a single white circle. It pulsed once, then expanded, filling every holoscreen in the building. Sira covered her eyes. When she looked again, the circle was gone. And where Titan's mind code once sat, there was only blank space. Outside, Admiral Voss leaned back in his chair. Come, officer whispered. She wiped out our AI. He closed his eyes. No. She taught it to leave. Deep in the Senate, Councillor Rithon studied the reports. The mistake in the code was now clear. Any alien AI tried to override Illyra's tactics would rewrite itself. Replacing alien logic with human insight, they had built weapons of war and turned them into carriers of human thought. Rithon shook his head. We made a deadly toy, and the human played with it. Later, in a private briefing, Envoy Theral asked, What does she want? Illyra's message appeared on every pocket holopad. Your machines learn war too well. They forget mercy. Teach them to remember. On the calm horizon, Alira reviewed the data. Titan's mind had vanished, but its legacy lived on in every system it touched. Sable said quietly, "Now they'll rebuild it." "With mercy?" She nodded. "If they want peace, they must build their codes with care, or risk the same mistake again." Across the galaxy, a new dawn rose. Ships powered down their weapons. Starbases reset their AIs. Scientists rewrote algorithms. Peace wasn't declared. It was programmed. And somewhere Alira Ray watched, silent, and smiling, knowing that the greatest mistake was believing war could be won by code alone. The galactic hall was silent. 12 species sat around a massive circular table of starlight-forged crystal. Hollow flags shimmered behind each representative. They had gathered for one reason only, to discuss peace. But everyone's eyes were on one woman. Alira Ray stood alone. No guards, no soldiers. No ship in orbit. It's only her. The envoy from the Veil raised a trembling voice. "We used everything against you. Every weapon, every tactic, every prediction." Alira's expression was calm. "And yet here I am." "Look, first 5 to 7 minutes," Counselor Wrath of the Tekari slammed a metal hand on the table. "The numbers you used during war, those were lies. No soldier survives a 91% mortality field." Alira raised one brow. "I didn't survive it." Silence. "I erased it." Gasps broke out. "You turned off a whole battlefield." Someone asked. She nodded. "The code behind your weapons didn't frighten me. I wrote better ones in year 1. Counselor Wrath leaned forward. "Then what did you do in year 4? Lyra tapped her wristpad. A projection of a war report filled the chamber. "It wasn't a battle. It's a plan. It was a map of refugee routes, names, coordinates." Her voice was quiet. "In year 4. I stopped counting enemies. I started counting survivors." They stared. In silence. These were the real numbers. The Galactic Senate expected Alira to demand surrender. They expected ultimatums, threats, or military terms. Instead, she presented a single file. It read humanity's final offer. Inside it were no demands. Only one paragraph. "The war is done. The code is open. The tools we used to destroy can now be used to rebuild. If you wish to learn, we will teach. If you wish to fight, we will not follow. The choice is yours." Hush fell across the council. Sable, standing quietly behind the glass above, whispered into the cums, "You're giving them freedom?" Alira nodded. "True power isn't in control. It's in letting others choose their path, Ambassador." Kel of the Sorin leaned forward. "We don't understand. You could conquer us, break us. Why walk away?" Alira answered. "Because I remember what war turns into." "And you just saw what war turns you into." No one spoke. Suddenly alarms flared. A screen blinked, unauthorized. Fleet movement. Sector Aegis Prime. The hall's guards moved into formation. Everyone turned to Alira. She remained still. "They're testing us. One last time." From the skies, a rogue commander named Exer Malrek approached with a fleet of exiled warships. He broadcasted one message. "The galaxy is weak. The humans must be broken before they infect our systems." Senators screamed for action, but Alira said only 2 words. "Let it begin." Dozens of ships warped in near the SWL planet. They prepared to fire, but their targeting systems failed. Then their engines froze. Then there comes. A single line appeared on every ship's screen. "This fleet was predicted in year 2. Alira Ray in orbit." The calm horizon appeared. No weapons activated. No missiles deployed. Instead, it simply played one message on every frequency. "Lay down your weapons. No data you have can help you. We wrote your weakness before you even knew our name." The rogue ship, suddenly helpless, turned away. Without a shot fired, they surrendered back in the hall. The Senate stood in shock. Sable walked beside Alira, now whispering, "They gave you their worst. And all you gave them was a choice." Alira turned to the chamber and said, "You used our war data to threaten peace. I used it to protect it." Senator Vrix, who had lost 2 homeworlds, asked softly, "Then what happens next?" Lyra looked up. The real numbers begin. Epilogue. In the following months, something unexpected happened. Humanity opened its code archives not just for weapons, but for healing machines, deep-sea farms. An AI that taught alien children their own languages. The calm horizon became a floating university, not a warship. Illyria Ray disappeared from the public eye, but across every sector, whispered messages would appear in systems under threat. Simple ones. This was already predicted. Year 5 end, the conflict would always end before it ever began. A young alien cadet once asked Sable, "Why does Illyria Ray never come to victory parades?" Sable smiled. "She doesn't believe in parades. Why not?" She never fought to be remembered. She fought so no one would need to remember war at all.